Coming up, our review of Halloween Horror Nights 2022. Welcome to the CWDW Near and Far podcast, where we explore perspectives of the Walt Disney World Resort from 10 to 1,000 miles away. I am Mike, the far in this equation.
And I'm John, about closer to 20 miles away, but who's counting?
Yeah, that's right. Not doing the as the crow flies thing though, so I don't know. It might be it might take you you might be closer to 30 minutes away, right? I mean,
I'm almost exactly 30 minutes away from Universal or Disney. So okay. It takes a little longer to get to a Disney park because it's a bigger property, but I am on Disney property in 30 minutes, and I'm on Universal property in 30 minutes as well.
Yeah, well, that's not too bad, really. That's what I was gonna say. You're almost kind of outside the bubble enough.
I used to live 2 miles away, and my goodness, it was awesome to get to the parks. Like if you were there, I could be like, "Oh, I'll be there in 10 minutes," But living there though gets to be, it's like, "Oh, it's Christmas. What does that mean?" Well, the streets are packed, the stores are filled, everything's just completely insane, and you want to hide in your house. That's what it means when you live 2 miles from Disney. So
yeah, it's like being in vacation land,
Cool. After a few years, I was happy to move away from it. So just
totally understand. Yeah, totally understand that. So sounds like anyhow you're in a good place up there now. So. All right, John. Well, let's talk about your week in the parks. How did that go?
All right. I have about 3 trips this week, and 2 of them were last Sunday. We didn't do the podcast on Sunday, so I decided to go to Epcot. And of course, when I go to Epcot, I go to Hollywood Studios instead. And so that's what I did. I actually went to Hollywood Studios. And the reason is, the parks are beginning to get crowded again. Not terrible, but, crowded enough. So I decided that it was a beautiful Florida day. So I wanted to ride the Skyliner. And so I actually parked at Hollywood Studios, and I took the Skyliner to Epcot. And I did that because when it's very crowded at the parks, a big part of the fun of going to Disney for locals is actually the traveling when you get there. And I was going to say, I came in the back at the International Gateway, which you can see there. And I don't know why. I really like this spot. You can see people just walking over the 2 bridges over between the France Pavilion and the UK Pavilion. And it's a beautiful area, the International Gateway. So, and I forgot to mention, I know I had mentioned in the past that I did not get Guardians of the Galaxy virtual queue like a week or so ago. So, I did get up and I got the Guardians. Virtual queue for this Sunday. But again, I went to Hollywood Studios. I took the Skyliner over to the International Gateway. We took a walk around the Canada Pavilion just because I haven't done so in a while. Nice to see the falls and the apple orchard, which is only there for the Food and Wine Festival, and then the wonderful movie will be back. And then I went over and spent some time at the Imagination Pavilion, watched the jumping fountains for a while. I got some video of that. Then I decided to, it was very hot, so I decided to see the Pixar Film Festival, which
nice.
is there too. So went in there, and again, nothing too exciting, but my favorite one is the Get a Horse short. The other ones I feel like I've seen enough, but the Get a Horse is interesting enough that I'm sick of that one. You know, the way they come right out of the screen like that just seems really cool, and it still does. It's very well done. The other ones, they're just Pixar shorts that are, you know, in the front of movies. But if you're ever at Epcot, I highly recommend stopping and seeing, cooling down, just because it's mainly for the Get a Horse one. The other ones are good too, but like I said, I've seen them enough now. Like the one with the little chick that runs in and out and learns to get the clams, and then the one with the dog, and the people break up and they get back together. And I did like them, but you know, after the 10th time of seeing them, I'm getting a little. I've seen them enough. So, and then I was going by the creation shop, and I noticed they have an annual pass holder magnet distribution there.
Yep, I got mine. Did you? I didn't know that you didn't get that one.
No, I didn't. And again, I'm a Disney parks fan, and yet I'm always so disconnected. Like I'm literally going by going, ooh, I'm an annual pass holder. So I should know about these things, but I really don't. So
I should have told you about it. I should have actually mentioned it on our last podcast about it.
I think my daughter told me about it when she was there a couple of weeks ago, and I just forgot about it again. So I have so many magnets and universal magnets, and there's a UOAP magnet. I have magnets like more than I'll ever know what to do with. So I used to give the magnets away on my Instagram, but Instagram considers that spam now. So if you follow me on Instagram, it's why don't you give away anything anymore? I have a bunch of stuff I want to give away, but Instagram says it's they take it as a negative, like you're trying to bribe people to follow you or something. And honestly, I always did it as just thank you for following me. So I never made anybody do anything when I gave my stuff away. So anyway, then I got called to go to Guardians, and instead of showing up, you know, very far, I actually was there on time. So.
Oh wow, that's unusual.
Yeah, normally it's like, oh, I had a reservation for 5 hours ago. It's like, nope, I was there on time that day. And it was odd though. Like normally I got this thing first thing in the morning because my thought was whenever it comes up, I'm going to try to be there. Well, it was almost 2 o'clock in the afternoon before it came up. And normally, I think they must have been having problems or something, because I thought I've already been called at like 10:30 in the morning, you know, and this is really late. But again, I didn't mind. So I got to ride Guardians again. This time, I can't tell how many times I've gotten seat 9. Which, as you can see, if you're watching in that video, puts you right at the front when the big bang happens. Yeah. So, again, I didn't ask for it. I was one person, and that's what came up. So That's happened to me a lot.
I do that too. Like I've got that a couple times myself. So I don't know what it is about us that we are able to do that.
I was gonna say, here's a little tip for people who do video. And again, I'm so dumb that I should have been doing this for the past couple years. Do you see how bright the video is on there? Like compared to my other videos.
Would you opened up the shutter?
Turned on HDR.
Yeah,
that's all I did, and it's so much brighter and crisper, and like it just looks great. And I'm like, I could have been doing this for a couple years now at least. And I know my daughter, she always had hers on. And when she would send me a video, I'd be like, wow, that looks so much better than mine. But again, I'm so not with it that it took me a couple years to catch on. But anyway, it looked great. And I think it's Blondie or one way or another. Is that Blondie?
Yes, it is. Yep. Blondie. Yep.
Oh, that's a good one. That one I've gotten twice recently, and before that I never got that one. So I was happy to get that.
It's funny you said that because the last time I wrote it, I had Blondie as well. So maybe they're just rotating that song in a little heavier now.
I heard on September 21st they were playing September a lot that day.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure they were. Yeah.
And I was gonna say too, I can't tell you how many times I've been on Guardians, but I was able, when you get to the room where there's dotted lines around and you know, it's after Terry Crews talks to you and then you go into the next room. Let me see what I caught on here. Basically, in this room here, when the lights go out and come back on, see how it's wide open?
Yeah, go there. You're right.
I ran right to the door and stood there.
Yep.
So then I was the first one. And I've thought about this before, but
yes,
I never
me too. I did it.
So anyway, you can see from that video, I actually did it. As soon as the lights came back on, the walls around you are gone and you can run to the door. So
let me tell you about that. I actually videoed that entire experience with the intention of doing a video of doing exactly what you said. I didn't tell you about it because I forgot about it, but I have footage similar to exactly what you have there of doing just exactly that. And I'm gonna put up a TikTok video at some point talking about exactly what you just said.
See how that hallway's empty?
Yep.
And then I also got this one empty too. So that helped a lot, you know. Again, if you've never seen it before, just watch the show. Don't worry about getting through it quickly. But I have seen this so many times now. And the pre-shows are great. But again, after you've seen them countless times, get to a point where you're like, I just want to get through this and ride. You know, the ride is the best part.
I love that you notice that you're talking about that because that reminded me of making that video that I was going to make that one.
I know. I was thinking about that too. Like I don't do a lot of tips, but if I could combine this video with a clip of these quick, but then again, do I really want to tell everybody?
Well, I mean, people that know already know for the most part, you know.
People know, but my thing is they might know, but as you can tell from this, they know to go to the right, but they're not looking right here. They're delayed. They're like, oh yeah. It's kind of like when you go to a stoplight, people aren't necessarily slamming on the gas the second it turns green.
Right. Yeah.
Although I do, so this is why this kind of thing works well for me.
I do the same exact thing.
I'm that crazy guy staring at the light.
Me too.
When is it going to turn? And green. I'm green. So
I do the same thing.
Living in the Northeast for so long, when everybody's in a hurry, it's like you cost me a half a second. You know, it's like people are crazy up there.
Well, the difference between you and I, though, I'm even more crazy because I live in a rural area and everyone acts like they do down there with you up here in this rural area. So when I'm behind someone else at a red light and they hesitate, I'm like, I got the veins popping.
So So anyway, the other advantage of parking at Hollywood Studios, and part of the reason I did it was I enjoy walking back. So I literally I walked back to the World Showcase, and you walk along the Epcot resorts, you go by the Swan and Dolphin, the boardwalk,
Yeah. Yeah.
and again, I was running, I was going, I had somewhere else to go this night. Otherwise, I really did want to stop and try the Boardwalk Deli, which this used to be the Boardwalk Bakery. Now it's the deli. I would have tried something there, which, you know, this gives you an idea. It's not that crowded. The parks are fairly crowded, but you could go in there in the middle of the day. And again, for me, this is the kind of thing that is much more enjoyable. Like, I don't want to go stand in a line for an hour, but grabbing lunch at the Boardwalk Deli and just enjoying the atmosphere of it, that's great. And there's one of my favorite Italian restaurants on property, Trattoria Al Forno. I forgot we do audio too.
Yeah.
I gotta remember that.
And that's something I didn't really talk too much about that, but I ate there for the first time this last time. My wife, she wasn't crazy about it, but I really liked it. I liked it a lot.
That doesn't surprise me though.
No, it's
I've had dinner with her. I don't think I'm lucky she don't listen to this.
Yeah, right. Yeah, she's a very plain taste type of person.
My wife is too. She's like, "What is this? Some kind of flavor? I don't want this on."
That's right. The same thing.
Can you boil me some chicken with no flavor? But anyway, I wanted to mention, and it's not really easy to see. I have a fast motion video of it, but I took the shortcut, which is right next to the art shop. You can cut through the tunnel, and it takes you right back to the swimming area behind the boardwalk. And then if you make a left and walk around that, it takes you around the pool and then right to the walkway to Hollywood Studios. And you can get to this by traveling up all the way up the boardwalk too, but this will save you a good 10 minutes if you do that. So.
And it'll save your feet a little bit, if you're tired from walking around the parks.
And I was going to say too, I just love walking this though. I don't know why. It never gets old to me. The views of Hollywood Studios from the walking path are just so.
Yeah. We actually we walked that for the first time this past trip, based on exactly what you're showing right now, based on the fact that you love doing it, and I've seen you do it in videos. We did not take the shortcut. We could have, but we took the long way, and it's a nice path. It really is exactly what you said. It's just enjoyable, the views and everything.
So yeah, then I got back to Hollywood Studios and walked back to my car. And then I drove all the way home, and then my wife got home, and then we got ready to go to Halloween Horror Nights again.
Wow.
And I needed to get in the last 3 houses I haven't seen yet, so we could talk about them today. And I was going to say, some of this was really pretty too, like the sun over. It's a little bit of a glare, but that's Universal Studios there from the parking garage, and it just has kind of a glow to it, almost like a pastel look. I really like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, we went to Horror Nights. It was still light out when we got there. What was it, like almost 7 o'clock? I personally don't like it as much when the lights are on. Like, I feel like Horror Nights need the darkness, and as the month progresses and as October comes, you will see more. It gets dark earlier and earlier. So, but I mean, the scare actors still do a good job. They were still scaring people even without the darkness to help hide them. So
Yeah, a lot of times they'll start at some point just running the fog machines or whatever it is that they use, and they can really get you, depending on how deep and thick that fog is, they can jump out at you.
Yeah, and I'm not going to get into the houses too much because we're going to talk about them in a couple minutes. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got to see the weekend and the Universal Monsters Legends Collide house, and I did get to see one other one. Um, I can't remember the name of it. It's Descendants of Destruction. That's what it
Okay.
was.
Yeah.
That one's back there too. Then we went through a few scare zones. Saw the Pumpkin Lord, which he seems to be everybody's favorite. He's got a crowd around him all the time. Just
Hmm.
everybody loves the Pumpkin Lord. So, but that's about it. We didn't spend a lot of time there. Just a few hours, probably like 2 hours. It's 8:30, and that's when we're heading out at 8:30. So we literally were probably there for 2 hours. I can say I'm a little disappointed in Universal, and again, it's mainly because they don't allow me to use prime parking when I go there. And again, it's okay if it's just their policy, because if you use prime parking, you're going to have to crisscross cars and it's so crowded. But one of the reasons that it's helpful to have prime parking is that you don't have to wait in huge lines for things like Horror Nights. So I spent about 30 minutes in line for the cars. And when you're only staying there a couple hours, that's 25% of your time. So
Hmm.
that and they bottleneck the parking there so terribly. And again, I like to critique Universal when it's when I should, just like I critique Disney. uh, Disney parks people 1,000 times better than Universal. There were probably 3 or 4 bottlenecks with people that don't want to let anyone in front of them in order to get up to where I parked. And again, it took a solid 30 minutes. It took me 30 minutes from my house to get there. Then I just sat there for 30 minutes and struggled to bottleneck through places to park. And again, the team members that do the parking, they pretty much don't even look at the people parking. They're just like, I guess it'll work out in the end. They like I said, they do a lot of things better than Disney, but parking is not one of them. I
Hmm.
wish it was, but I need to start going there earlier so I can use prime parking. But in years past, I would have prime parking and I would just drive right up and park, and I would watch the other people in line, and I'd be like, this is the only time prime parking is worth it, because it really doesn't. It just puts you on the same level. It doesn't really get you much closer. But this was the one time a year that it was worth it, and now they stopped doing that. And when they say it's sold out, it's not sold out, because I walked on the third floor where they do prime parking and it was practically empty. So they just not offering it after certain
Hmm.
times. I don't like that too. I don't like to be told something that's not true just because it's easier than explaining that they're not doing that right now. Like
Hmm.
I it's not sold out, but
I
anyway.
can't really complain about that because I stayed at the hotel and I got the transportation, and I can't complain about their transportation system. It works really well, in my opinion.
Yeah, their parking, it's usually all right, but again, Horror Nights draws such crowds of locals that there are lines of cars, on I-4 and all the surrounding roads, all fighting to get in. And like I said, the amount of bottlenecks and merging of lanes is just too much. But
Well, by the time October, the thick of October rolls around, and they're getting like 40,000 people in there, and half of them are going to be locals, that's going to be trouble, man.
it does get to be bad, which is why I just need to go early. Like it's worth it for me to go around 4:30, 5 o'clock. Park. I can go to Islands for an hour or so, and then go over to Horror Nights, because fighting the crowds to get in is just a lot.
Yep.
But
I
that's
gotcha.
about it for the parks. Or wait, what am I thinking? I missed the whole day. I on Thursday I went to the Magic Kingdom. Yeah, see, I go to the park so much I can literally miss an entire day by accident. Oops. So we went to the Magic Kingdom on Thursday. It started
Oh boy.
raining pretty much
Yeah.
as soon as we got there. So and the rain didn't last long though. But what I can say about the Magic Kingdom was there really wasn't that much that you could do. The lines were very long, you know. There's the new Walt Disney
Wow.
World bands.
Oh yeah. That's cool.
My wife tried them on and she really liked them. I was like, wow, I'm surprised. You like shoes, huh? She didn't get them, but I thought she would, but because I don't think she's ever seen a pair of shoes she didn't like. So
They are. I do have to admit, they're pretty cool looking, though.
yeah,
I like those
they're
shoes.
$69.99. They are cool. But
Yeah.
I'm just not that. For someone like me, Vans just fall apart quickly. So.
Yeah, me too.
But anyway, we went on the Tomorrowland Transit Authority. Then,
You got some awesome footage, by the way, of the Tron.
oh yeah. Well,
This.
that's what I kept telling my wife. I'm like, the only thing I really want tonight, I want to see Tron light up. That's all I want to do.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if they would, but I know Wednesday there was a Halloween party, and Thursday there was not. So I'm like, if they're gonna do it any weeknight, this would be the night. So, so anyway, we went on Voyage of the Little Mermaid, and it broke so many times. It literally started and broke.
Yep.
It was the worst ride through I have ever been on, and it took a long time to get through it too. And I'm like, the amount of things wrong with it was just crazy. And
Yep.
I've been hearing a lot about Disney having these problems with maintenance and a lot of things breaking down. And I can tell you firsthand that, man, that's frustrating. This is a fairly new ride too.
Yeah.
Missing animatronics.
It's just an Omni. It's like a regular Omni mover, like the Haunted Mansion or whatever, right?
I don't know if you can see this, but look at her eye. They're uneven now, and this animatronic is already not a great one. And now the eye is even off, and I shouldn't even show. Like you kind of see it there. It's like, I
noticed that when I was there.
Does not look like the Little Mermaid at all, and now its eye is like drooping, and I'm like, that is just weird.
It's almost, it just seems like they don't care anymore. And I got to tell you, that ride, because of how bad it is right now with the stoppage and everything and all those other things that you're talking about. And I'm not crazy about that ride to begin with because of the ending. It's about ready to rotate off of my list of rides that I'm going to even experience when I go there.
It's one of the few that I ride because you actually can. And again, we're back to lines where everything's so long that there's not a lot I can do. Like at this point, my wife was like, well, what do you want to do? Every line was like an hour long.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, well, I don't know. I don't really want to do any of this. And I remembered there's a spot right when you exit from Big Thunder Mountain. This is what I wanted to show.
Oh yeah.
People.
Yeah.
There's kind of cracks
in
the facade. There's these cracks in there. And I think his handle's Disney Scott 98 on Instagram. He had a reel that showed it. I was like, oh, I'd never noticed that before. So
I have footage of that too.
Yeah, I went there looking through, just to say that's pretty cool. Like, look at that, it comes right at you, and I didn't even know it did that. And then I went to the one further down, which I actually like better. This one is closer to the exit.
Yeah,
that was cooler because you can see it going with the, I like that perspective better. I think that's
Yeah,
cool.
that is
So
better.
this is the first one that you can see. So as you're coming out of the Big Thunder Mountain queue, you just look to the left and look for little crevices to kind of look through, and you could see pretty good in there. And again, I had no idea it was there till I was told about it. And we did go on another ride though. We went on the Enchanted Tiki Room.
Oh, nice.
And I have to say, I know I'm in the minority here, but my wife even mentioned it again. We went on this, and she said, "I, I miss Enchanted Tiki Room under new management." And I was like,
Huh.
"Yeah, I do too." That Iago song was so catchy and just so. I really enjoyed that. I still know every word of it to this day, and I'm like,
Huh.
that's how much it stuck with me. And then the goddess of Mother Nature would come out of the middle, and then she would zap Iago and his feathers would fly. I have a feather that I took from that. So I actually
Huh.
kept that feather, from Iago. So I thought that was a much, much better show. So again, I know for the people who like classic Disney stuff, and normally I am one, this show just does nothing for me. It's cute, but I don't know.
I personally love the
Yeah, so
show, but
yeah.
I saw it
But
back in the 80s,
yeah,
like
see, I
growing
didn't
up.
grow up with it. The first time I saw it was in 2004 when it was under new management. I'm already an adult, and my daughter loved Aladdin, so she thought it was a great show too. And again, they brought the original back, and it had no connection to me. So I'm just like, well, this isn't as good.
Mhm.
So I did. I went to my favorite spot to look at the Magic Kingdom. So
Yeah,
I
that's
like to
great.
stop there. It's on the bridge closer. Like if you were going to go eat at Cosmic Rays, you
Yeah.
could stop there. All right. Um, then we went over to the Circus Land, whatever it is, the terrible land that nobody goes to.
Huh. Yeah.
And the reason I did is next to the Barnstormer, you can look up into Tron, and it was still light out. But what I wanted to see was, are they running it? Because we're at a point where we're like, should we just go home? And I'm like, it's the sun's gonna go down in like 30 minutes. So I looked up. This is what I see. You see the lights going on?
Yeah.
So they're testing it with the lights. It's just not as obvious because it's light out. So at that point, I apologized to my wife that it's going to be a late night because I need to. I've been trying to get this thing for a long time, so I'm like, I'm not leaving now. So,
Did she look annoyed or?
no, she was happy that I got it, but it's
uh,
not. It's not really her thing. So we wandered around a little bit. Somebody ran right into me under here, and I don't know why I'm invisible to people, but I am. But it's not in the video. I didn't record. Luckily, that part wasn't recorded. But man, anyway, there's Main Street, USA, and then we went over to the Tomorrowland Transit Authority, and luckily, like this was a really beautiful time to ride the ride. Like it just looked really. I don't think you can't hear anything, right?
no.
That's good. I was gonna say this is this is my ride by of Trot at night. Then, and I know it looks a little bright, but it's not really. Let's see if I have the whole thing. You can see the light up there, like lit up, and we got lucky. And again, for some reason, the sky is always lit up above above Tron. And there it is. It just shot out. See it right there?
Yeah. Yeah. Look
Very
at that.
lucky timing. And then look, we'll see it again around the turn. I couldn't ask for anything better than that. Although I did tell my wife we need to go on it again because now it's darker and it'll look better. And she's like,
Yeah.
she said it's the chances of you getting that like perfect again is probably not going to happen anyway. So I got out of line and reluctantly said, "All right." But I said, "But at least we need to go back and look at it again from next to the barn."
I was going to say Barnstormer, yeah.
Just so you know, there's a sign here saying no video, but I didn't read it at the time. So
I didn't even realize it said that.
yeah, I don't read signs. That's for people with a lot of time on their hands. So. Anyway,
well, I'm glad you didn't read it.
I chose not to read it.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so we did that. You know, I got a few more clips of that. And then basically we headed out then. For once, we did not take the walking path back. We normally do.
Uh-huh.
But it was already getting late. And, you know, so we did take the monorail back. So, but anyway, that is about it for my trips to the park. I can reiterate the Magic Kingdom is not that fun without a lightning lane to go with. So I don't know. I may have to start just going less frequently and assuming I've got to pay $15 if I want to actually go on anything. So.
And you're going to have to stack, you know, do the stacking thing.
Yeah, which doesn't even work that well, but I have to do my best. I'm going to have to do that again soon, but I just, you know, if I go to the parks at least a couple times a week, that's, if there's two of us, then that would be $60 a week. So that, what is that a month? $240 a month. It's like, it's at the point where I don't need to do all that, you know, like I just, maybe I'll just walk around the parks more or something. I don't know, but
yeah, get a taste of the magic instead of you don't have to ride rides to get a taste of the magic all the time. I guess
some of my favorite times are just visiting the resorts. So it tends to be much more fun. So, but anyway, we can go on to our main topic from there.
All right, yeah. So this week, we're going to discuss the Halloween Horror Night houses from this year and maybe just talk a little bit about the scare zones after that. But we're just going to go down through the houses piece by piece and just talk a little bit about the houses, where they rank on our lists of favorites, and just talk a little bit about the houses, what we got out of each house. And so I guess you want to pull up that map, John, or do you want to cover it? Just
I can't see the map really well. Like,
okay,
it seems like small print, like when I pull it up on the screen. So okay. I was thinking we could just go down.
Sounds good.
Here.
Okay.
And like it's a little clearer than the map. So.
All right. So then we're going to start with the Weekend house, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, so John, for me, the Weekend, I have a kid that is really into the Weekend and actually went to a concert a few months ago in Philadelphia to see him. I really didn't know a lot about the Weekend. Like I didn't know anything about the Weekend. So when I saw that Universal had, brought him in to do a house, I decided to listen to some of his music, and in particular the album that this house is based on. And so that when I went to the house, and plus I talked to my daughter a little bit about the music itself and what he's all about and what he's trying to convey with that album. So she really explained it as like Hollywood fakery, so to speak. Plastic surgery, people modifying their bodies for that Hollywood look, that type of thing. And I know I'm just generalizing, I'm just going over that quick, but that's what I went into the house with that notion. And that's exactly what I feel like we got. That's what the house was about. And they kind of made it like he's a big horror fan, I guess. So in his videos, he sort of conveyed these images, when this album came out. So that's basically what we got with the house. And, I did enjoy the house myself. It's number 6 on my list. What'd you think of that house?
I went in it just last Sunday, and I did not like the fact that it was a very loud house, meaning even the music was blaring, and I'm kind of sensitive to loud noise, and I know Horror Nights is full of loud noise, but this started even outside. So luckily I brought a pair of earplugs to kind of muffle that a little bit. But I liked the house more than my wife did. At first it seemed a little bit weird, but probably about halfway through I got used to the lighting, I got used to the scares, and it got into kind of a groove of scares and things you see. And by the end, I was getting scares popping at me. I was feeling it by the end, but again, it was very loud. Like just
Mm-hmm.
the team members working there, they all had earplugs too, which I try not to use earplugs when I visit a house because sometimes it's nice to have the loud noise. It's part of the scare, but in this case, I wore them all the way through. So, and the only thing I recognized music wise was I know there are some reels that I've already done that have his music on it. So
Yeah.
definitely have heard the music before, but I'm just overall, I'm as a ignorant regular guy that knows nothing about the backstory or anything else, I gave it a 7.
Yeah, and that sounds about right. I think the my lack of familiarity with the music and really the videos and everything, just my basically my cliff's
Well,
notes. It's
I was going to say I have a 21-year-old daughter, and she thought it was great. But her
yeah,
first thing was she's like, "Oh, I liked it. I was bopping through the whole thing, just like enjoying the vibe."
yeah.
And she's like, "You won't like it. It's going to be too loud." And I'm like, "Oh,
She knew.
probably."
I can, and
She
I
liked
totally
it.
get it. I do get it. It was
Yeah,
very
she
loud.
just danced through the whole thing and
Yeah.
embraced the music and enjoyed it. So again, I wish I could do that better, but
There were definitely some younger people in line with us that were kind of like that as well. I will say, like, I don't even think most of those younger people would necessarily get some of the higher concepts of that house, but that's a house that kind of, if you go into it with the idea as to knowing what it's about and you think about it, it is kind of higher concept for that event. So,
yeah.
I found it interesting. There are certain areas that kind of have a good creep factor, particularly towards the end of that house. I'm not going to get into exactly what those are, because I don't want to spoil it for anyone necessarily. But man, I that kind of made the house for me and kept it at least in the middle of my list.
Oh
So
yeah, me too. I didn't like how loud it was. The music was good, but I didn't like how loud it was. But it's a great concept, and
yeah,
like I said, the last half of it I really enjoyed. Like
yeah.
I felt like I got adjusted into the world of the weekend, and it was really working by the end. I was like, all right, I can feel what they were trying to do.
Okay,
But
wouldn't you say, like, and if you remember this particular part, and I'm not going to spoil a bunch of stuff, but there's a part where it has a very familiar song to people on TikTok, and it's almost like a narrow mirrored hallway, with like kind of, an effect in there. And I think once you go through that section of the
mhm,
house, then it kind of transitions into what you're saying, like,
yeah.
like then the house really picks up, I feel. And that's kind of where I caught on to it,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, and luckily for me, I'm gonna go through all the houses again, so I'll get
Oh,
another
good.
shot at it.
Great.
And it may change, but again, we each saw everything once, so that's
Yeah.
what we're basing it on.
All right, let's go to Halloween. What'd you think of Halloween?
Well, Halloween for me, I grew up with Halloween. I love the music of Halloween. I've always loved Michael Myers. Like, just it's such a good concept, and I love that creepy mask. And even I always remember as a kid, like the detective shoots him and he falls over the railing, and then he goes and looks and he's gone. It's like you can't kill Michael Myers. And I don't know, between the music, Michael Myers, the scare, the fact that it was based on the original movie, so it was like an older set, like had an old timey feel. Um, I reluctantly give it a number one, and I do that too because my wife, like, she doesn't get scared in a lot of these houses, but she basically came out and said Michael Myers still scares the crap out of me every time. Like, she can't even help it. It's like he just does. Like all the other houses, you can take it with a grain of salt, but when Michael Myers comes at you from around the corner with his knife,
Yeah,
it's like, I think it's just beat into us from childhood. So I don't know if it's an old person thing, but man, like Halloween, I look forward to going into that again. And again, it's not the best effects and the best this and that, but it
yeah,
just felt like you were in the movie just enough to give you that
yeah.
feel of being in the original Halloween movie. So I loved it.
That last scene though, man. I'm not gonna say what it is, but that was the one for me in the very last room that
Mhm.
you're in, man. It's funny. Maybe it is an old guy thing because that's my number one as well, John, and it's anticlimactic then for the rest of the list. But I was surprised by that because this year overall, you're going to see a general theme with mine. The intellectual properties actually did really well this year, whereas last year they were a little bit lower on my list and the originals were a little bit higher. So it's kind of opposite this year, not with everything, but the Halloween house was absolutely fantastic. I think they put so much into that house. Again, just like you said, the scenes after room, scene after scene, it was like stepping into the movie, and the actors
I,
just did such
I
a
love
great job.
I love like there's the stairwell in there, like right from the
Oh,
movie. He's looking
yeah.
up the stairwell, and then it's like
Yep.
such. It's just
Oh,
very well done. And again, it could be one of my favorite houses from the past was Texas Chainsaw Massacre too, because it felt like it felt like you were at that creepy old house with like bones and like
yeah.
lamps made out of bones. And this is in a past year, but those classic horror movies just really work well for me.
Yeah, and I liked it. Michael Myers is definitely he still has that creep factor. There's plenty of Michael Myers in the house, but also the other characters, you know. I mean, I'm not going to get into it because that can be a spoilery thing, but you will not be disappointed if you are a fan of the original Halloween movie. You will not be disappointed with this house. And again, for both of us, then that's our top house
Yeah.
for this year, and there's a reason for it. And I don't want to inflate anyone's expectations, but it's a darn good house. All
I
right.
I even remember years ago when my daughter was younger and my nephew was with us. We were just trick or treating in Pennsylvania, and there was a guy dressed in a Michael Myers costume who was
Uh,
just standing down the road, and then we would walk, and then we'd look back, and he's still just standing there, and it's like my nephew freaked out. He was like, "No, no!" Like the guy just kept slowly following us, and then when you turn around, he's just standing there, and he did such a good job. And I'm like, just a random guy in the street can make that a great thing if you
it's
know this
great.
the movie well. And
Yeah.
again, my nephew didn't even know the movie well. He just kept looking back, seeing this creepy thing just standing there with a blank, just standing there, and it just freaked him out. He was started to panic. And it was just great. So
That's awesome.
anyway, it's a little
Yeah.
personal memory of the
Yeah.
that one of the reasons I like Halloween so much.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is great. The next house we're going to cover is the what is it?
I
Terrors
guess it's
of Blumhouse.
yeah,
So let's just call it the
the
Blumhouse
horrors of
house.
Blumhouse. Yeah,
Horrors of
they
Blumhouse.
always do something like this because Universal owns Blumhouse, so
Okay.
they can do it without paying somebody. Like in years past, they would do like The Purge and Happy Death Day and things like
Yeah.
that. In this case, it is Freaky and the Black Phone, and
Yeah.
I should have seen it, but I didn't because I never saw Freaky.
Yeah. I didn't either. I did see the black phone.
Yeah.
I for this one, and this lands at number 5 on my list, so about middle of the road, but only because it was split up, and maybe because I didn't know Freaky all that well. So as I was walking through that Freaky house, I didn't know what I was looking at. I didn't really understand it too much, so I kind of approached it as like a just a scare house. And the problem with it is it was so short, I felt. So they split these into 2 houses, and they put it in the Fast and the Furious queue line.
That
And so
was
when you, what's that?
that was interesting. I
Yeah.
haven't been there since that first opened because I never rode it again after one
Yeah,
time.
it's terrible. But I've rode it twice, believe it or not, just because everyone can ride it in my family. But that that was an interesting concept. And there are some great jump scares in the Freaky part of it, and in the Black Phone part of it, which I am familiar. They end the Freaky movie with the end of the movie, I guess, and then you jump in, you walk into the beginning of the movie of the Black Phone, which again
Yeah.
I am
And
familiar
and,
with.
and it actually looks like you're going into a completely separate house. They even
It
have a
is, yeah.
sign up, even though it's one house, it's technically two.
Right. So if they did an entire Black Phone house, I probably would have enjoyed that. It would have been
Yeah.
higher on my list. I really liked the Black Phone movie, and the house itself. I liked it because they hit all the notes of that movie, the creep factor, and all those things in that movie. Everything was there, and I think they could have fleshed it out even more with a bigger house.
I was gonna say the same. I didn't see Freaky, so I went through it and I was like, oh, all right, that's something. And then I went into the Black Phone, and those in between scenes where you walk and you go through a curtain and there's
Yeah,
just the Black Phone lit up in a dark room. There's nothing else but the phone to see.
yeah,
They kept doing that as transitions, and that's perfect because
absolutely.
in the movie the Black Phone rings and he answered again, and when you would walk in there too, the phone would start to ring, and
Yep.
it was perfect timing, and that part of it really was well done because it would take you through scenes of the movie in between Black Phone ringing,
Yeah.
Black Phone
Yeah.
ringing, and I thought that was great, but I also had it at number 5,
Yeah. There you
and
go.
again, it would have been higher if it was just the Black Phone, probably, and or if I would have taken the time to watch Freaky. So I still want
Yeah.
to watch it. I think it's on one of the streaming services for free, so I should watch it.
Yeah, I would like to
When I
watch
get
that
back
as well.
again.
I'd like
But
to see it too.
but anyway, I always enjoyed the Blumhouse ones, but they're not always the best. I can
Mm,
say I think Insidious was there once,
mm.
and that was really good. Like that witch, I went around a corner at one point, and she was just like an inch from my face, and it's
Oh,
screaming,
jeez.
"How dare you!" And I was like, I have memories of that now, like it happened for real. Like in my memory, it's all blackness, and then she's just in my face screaming, "How dare you!" And I'm like,
That's
wow,
great.
that's so Blumhouse does get some good stuff, and
Yeah.
like I said, the Black Phone was good. Not the best though, so it's a solid 5.
Yeah. So the next one is the Universal Monsters Legends Collide house.
Yeah.
What'd you think of this house, John?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good, but a lot of people like it a lot. It's heavy on the mummy, and so there's a lot of cool visuals to look at and stuff. I think I might have went in it when they weren't like between sets or something. Like I didn't get a lot of scares from it. And my other problem was I was judging it against Universal monsters from the past,
Mm-hmm.
meaning I think a couple of years ago they had one that was, it wasn't Legends Collide, it was just Universal monsters. And they had the creature from the Black Lagoon in that one, and they had Phantom of the Opera, and they had a bunch of them. And I just always remember the creature from the Black Lagoon just popping out, and that like I love that. So I think I was a little bit biased because I missed that one, and I was like, it was good, but not as good as that one because that one was so good. So I gave it a number 6 on mine. Okay. I did like it, but
so yeah. Okay. For me, this one rated really high for me. I thought the set was just unbelievable. It's right away when you walk in, the set pieces right away. I was like, wow, okay.
The Egyptians.
Yeah, I felt like I was walking into a archaeologist dig or something. It was really cool. And like as you progress in the house, like you said about the scares, I got a lot of scares. We got a ton of them. The kind of Anubis creatures and stuff, man, they were really cool. And again, I guess the only part of it is it was very heavy on the Mummy. It was supposed to be Legends Collide. I got some of the Wolfman, not a lot of Dracula. I didn't see a lot of him.
Like down a corridor a couple of times. I saw him go by in the distance, but I didn't get a lot of Dracula. But yeah, the Mummy I got a lot. Anubis, I got that one too. He popped out because I remember thinking I used to have a dog that looked just like Anubis. Like
but I did get a lot of the Wolfman. Who won at the end of the house for you? Do you remember?
I'm pretty sure the Mummy.
That's who won for me as well.
I think that always happens. I'm pretty sure.
It might.
My daughter said that's just it.
Maybe, yeah. So this ranked actually second on my list. I loved it so much, just because of the sets and all the scares. And I just thought they did a great job on the costuming. The actors were so good, and it can. This just goes to show, where our rankings are. It can really depend on whether they're changing the shifts and things like that. And
it could also be affected by my bias of how much I like
it could be,
but like I liked it more before, so it kind of gave me
I could see that, but I got to tell you, The Bride of Frankenstein last year, I kind of thought that house was a little lame. I didn't really like it too much.
Yeah, I didn't care for it that much either.
So, I mean, I judged it based on that, and it exceeded my expectations. I liked things about that house last year, but man, I thought this house was way better. So, the next one is Spirits of the Coven, John, and I got to tell you, this one was my least favorite. It just really didn't ring with me. I mean, I just kind of, there were some decent jump scares and things like that, but I didn't really get the concept too much here. It didn't really seem tied together well. And
my daughter had to explain it to me. She said basically in the beginning, and I didn't know this till after I already went in it, so it didn't help me. She said the witches look fairly normal, and then they look worse and worse. By the end, they like deteriorate and get like more and more scary. But I didn't like it because I think everything in there was a full mask.
Yeah,
it didn't have that real feel to it, and
it just seemed real quickly thrown together, right?
Yeah, it's number 9 for me. It's not the worst, but it easily could have been number 10 too. So
yeah. So we don't probably have to cover too much, but that's interesting that your daughter had that story, because I didn't understand that myself, what was going on there. So that helps a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't know that was the case, but she explained that to me. So.
Okay, so the next one is Bugs, John. What did you think of Bugs Eaten Alive? A lot of people are freaked out about this one, knowing that there's going to be bugs in there.
Well, I am a fan of bugs, meaning I have like pet reptiles and stuff, and I don't mind. I'm not scared of picking up bugs or playing with bugs, so that part didn't scare me. But you might be surprised that I actually had this as my number two.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I'm glad we're diverging a bit because
Yeah.
we had two in a row that were the same. So, but
Yeah.
now we're diverging a bit. What I liked about this, though, I do like the bug part. That was cool, but I really liked the way they made it feel like a 50s TV
Yeah.
commercial or something. Like it almost feels like you're going back in time, and the
Yep.
lady vacuuming and talking, and I'm like, it just has a really cool old feel to it, kind of like whatever it was, like Scary Cinema or whatever. They had one last year, the year before, that was similar in that feeling of
Yeah.
felt like it was from the 50s. So that's
Yeah.
what I like about it. It just had a cool vibe to it, and I do like the bug things. I like the movement and the bugs. And
Yeah, so for me, it rated a little bit lower, but not because I didn't like it. It rated a little bit lower mainly because I didn't remember before we started the podcast. I told you, man, once you get past 9 and 10, it's really difficult for me to rate these because bugs. I love retro cool, like, retro creepy stuff. I'm a big fan of the Fallout game genre series, and that kind of relies on a retro 50s futuristic feel. And so this one really resonated with me with the 50s kind of retro thing. The bug thing, it was okay. I mean, it was kind of creepy, and there were a lot of good jump scares and all the things. You can imagine what goes on with a bug house, so to speak. If in your head how they're going to attack you in that house, that's how they did it. And so I like that. That was okay. But this ranked number 7 on my list, not because I didn't like it, but only because I just couldn't figure out between like 4 and 7. I could not figure out where to put. I'd say even 8, like 4 and 8 were really tough for me to seed. Um, so yeah, I liked it, but that's why we diverge, and I get why you loved it, John. I loved it for those same reasons. But
yeah,
the next one is Fiesta de Chupacabras. Um, this one actually did well for me, and a lot of people don't like this house as much, I think. So for me, I love this ranked number 4 on my list. What I liked about it was the feel. Like you really felt like you were going into a festival in Mexico, or at least the American Southwest, but I felt like more Mexico. And I loved that feel. I loved it. Had a smell to it, an interesting smell when you walked into it. And then the chupacabra, kind of like the scares. I love the way they approach the scares in this house. I don't want to get into it and spoil it for people, but it got more and more intense, I felt, as you went into the house, and it kind of built up to a crescendo of scares towards the end. So I really like this because I love that whole cryptid type thing. I mean, I just really dig the chupacabra legends and, sightings and all these types of things. So this house, I really dug it. I dug the work with the puppets and the other things or whatever. Maybe they weren't puppets. I don't know, but the work with the, effects and the artistry of this house, I liked it a lot.
I enjoyed it, but I guess I had higher expectations for it though. Like I really thought it was going to be more than it was. So for me, I rated it an 8. I did
Hmm.
like the chupacabras that would pop out at you. Like I thought that was very well done. Um, as far as like Spanish lore goes, I always like the idea, and I don't know if they ever did it before. The El Cucuy, like that's the boogeyman. Like
Uh-huh.
that's the one that I want to see. Um, a version of, but yeah, this one was okay. And again, maybe I got a not great.
Yeah, we got a lot of jump scares in the right times, and so that helped out with us. But
All
yeah.
right, yeah. So that one was pretty good. But
All right. The next one is Hell Block Horror. What'd you think of that one?
that is my number 10.
Ah,
That seemed like there was no story at all. You just walk through and
yeah,
people are in jail. And I can tell you, the rumor is, and I'm pretty sure it's more than a rumor, this was supposed to be uh, the Stranger Things house this year, and it got changed to the last minute, and they really didn't have a good story, and it was thrown together quickly at the last
yeah,
minute. And I think it shows it's not terrible. It's worth going in, but it's not.
yeah.
There wasn't much special about it. So for me, it was number 10.
That one is number 9 on my list. I agree. It just didn't. The actors did their best, I think. There, I mean, they did a
Oh
decent
yeah.
job, and so there was. But it was so disjointed. Like one minute you look at it like, what is that? A cannibal scene, and the next minute you're like, wait, these guards are being attacked. It was strange, and it didn't seem held together real well. Kind of like the Witch House for me. I just felt like it was exactly what you said. I knew it was rumored to be something else. My understanding was that they basically recycled the set from one of the Walking Dead when they were in the prison or something. So that's kind of what was going on here. That's what they had to do to kind of throw this together because of that IP contract falling apart. That's the rumor I heard. So I'm with you. This one just didn't do it for me. And out of all the houses, between the Spirits of the Coven and the Hell Block Horror, these were ones that I could have taken or left. The rest of them I just really liked or loved. And, but those two just didn't do anything for me. So we don't have to talk about that too much more. Dead Man's Wake, or Winter's Wake, Dead Man's Pier, Winter's Wake is next on the list. So this ranked number 3 on the list for me, just because the set was beautiful and the way that they handled this, some of the effects in the house itself and some of the things that were going on in the house were just amazing. I felt I really, really enjoyed that house quite a bit. It had, when I walked in, like the bartender, I don't want to say bartender, whatever. There was a guy in there that interacted with me.
I remember that.
Yeah, so he interacted with me, and I was like, I responded to him, and I just thought that set up the pace and the house itself for me. Once you got past that point, man, everything was like really well tied together. It was well themed. The set, beautiful. You're playing it on the screen right there.
Yeah, I was showing you. Somebody sent this. One of my daughter's friends sent this to me. It's someone standing on a full-scale ship playing a violin. It's like just unbelievable that you walk in and you see a ship in front of you, and it's like, wait a minute, I'm in a house. This is way too elaborate and big to be here. But
it just made you feel like it was at night on a wharf, and like the something went wrong, and this is the leftover scene of whatever went wrong. It made you feel like you were in a haunted wharf. So yeah, this one graded really super high for me. I wanted to place it a little bit higher, but I just couldn't put it over Halloween and the Universal Monsters house. But I think I could have interchanged it with, the Universal house. It was so good.
Everybody agrees this is the best looking house this
I
year.
think so, for sure.
Visually to see it, and
Yeah.
and yeah, the bartender sticks in my head too as you go in. That was a good character, and just it was just really good to look at. So I had it. I don't know if I told you, I had it at number 4.
Okay.
Well, it's close to the top for me, but
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Great. All right. The next one is Descendants of Destruction. What did you think of that one, John?
well, oddly enough, it really worked for me. My wife didn't really agree with me that much. She was like, "Oh, it was okay." I thought it was really really good. I loved I they used that the subway scenes and stuff like
Mhm.
that's reused from the past too. I remember there was one a few years ago that strobe that was really intense, and the subway was on there because all of a sudden the subway's empty and then there's people all around you just in a flash. So, but anyway, I really enjoyed the set work of this one, and by the end there were so many scares. And I think one of the reasons that this ranks so high for me was the people in front of me
Mhm.
at some point they ran, and so it was me walking through with nothing in front of me, and I got to experience all the scares at the end. Like there was so many at the end, and I was
Yes.
like, man, this is so good. Like it really worked well. So it skewed a little bit for me because I like to slowly walk. Like I walk
Me
fast
too.
enough and don't yell at me to hurry up,
Yeah.
but when somebody in front of me disappears and runs away, I'm like, that's perfect. That means I'm going to get some good scares because they're going to be waiting for the next person to do whatever they're going to do.
Yeah.
So that worked out good for me. And like I said, I just like the sets. I like how many jump scares. For whatever reason, when I went through, they were on that one. Like everything was going really well. So
Yeah. Yeah. So that one ranked a little bit lower on my list, but not because it was a bad house. I really liked the Descendants of Destruction. I love the sets. Like you said, the sets are just fantastic. Um, I the story was a little it didn't really hold for me as far as that goes. That's the only thing. But other than that, the sets and the jump scares were everywhere, man. You thought you'd get through like a section of the house and pow, 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 pop. There was like scares everywhere. And I'm like you, I walk kind of slow through these because I want to get everything. I want to, take everything in. And there were points in time where this particular house was a little disoriented or disorienting. I didn't know whether I should go this way or that way. And a team member had to kind of shine a flashlight at me because there was even one scene where it kind of like went to like a subway, like a I don't know, almost looked like a station, but you were supposed to go the other way. So I like that about it. I loved the sets. I loved the actors and the scares. It did rank number 8, but it could have been higher for me. It only ranked number 8 because remember I said number 9 and 10. I didn't really care too much for. Everything else I really liked. This one could have been interchangeable with anywhere from 8 to 4. And so that's how much I like this house. I do like the house. I really like the outside of the house too, John. The facade of the house is really cool. Broken down truck and the house itself. So, all right, John, that was the houses. Let me just say here's my rankings real quick. Was number 1 Halloween, number 2 Universal Monsters, number 3 Dead Man's, number 4 Chupacabra, 5 Blumhouse, 6 The Weekend, 7 Bugs, 8 Descendants of Destruction, 9 Hellblock, and 10 Spirits of the Coven.
yeah, I had number 1 Halloween, number 2 Bugs, number 3 Descendants of Destruction, number 4 Dead Man's Pier, number 5 Blumhouse, number 6 Universal Monsters, number 7 The Weekend, number 8 Chupacabra, number 9 Spirit of the Coven, and number 10 Hellblock. So
Okay.
that's the quick rundown
Yeah.
based on my notes. And I didn't put a lot of thought into this. I
Yeah,
wrote it down
me too.
right minutes before as we were talking. I just figured it out. So.
Same for me. Let's just briefly go over the scare zones. What did you think of the scare zone? What was your favorite scare zone?
Well, I'm trying to think. I kind of like. I think it's Conjure the Dark. It's the one on Hollywood. The one by the horror makeup show and Mel's die-in.
I think
one? That's Graveyard.
You're right. It is Graveyard.
Yeah, because when you walk there, that graveyard facade is up. Yeah, I like the Graveyard one because some of the characters in there were really cool. Like I like the skeleton ghost thing that's on top, and there's just some creepy stuff lingering around there. But honestly, the scare zones were all pretty good this year.
Yeah,
I really liked the horrors of Halloween too, with the Pumpkin Lord, and
I did too.
They had some really cool witches that were up on the stilts, and I got some good video of them, like coming down, and scarecrows. And I have to say though, I wanted to touch on the scarecrow cursed soil one too.
Yeah,
one of the scarecrows has corn in his hand.
Yeah.
That little kid with the meme came right to my
right
to my mind. I was like, man, I need to record this and be like, corn. It's corn. It's like
a lot of people are doing that actually for that very reason.
Because I thought it immediately. It popped in my head.
Perfect.
Like the little kid with the corn meme. I was like, man, this would be perfect for corn. But besides that, I didn't.
Yeah. I liked them all this year too, John. I thought the Graveyard was really good. I liked that the scare zone that was in that place last year just because of the characters and the way that they kind of interact with people. This year, I like the sisters. I don't know if you saw the sisters walking around holding hands.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And they lead you actually somewhere. And so something happens. So I'm not going to get into that. I don't want to spoil it. But my favorite though, and I really like them all again. The Scarecrow one was and Conjure the Dark were probably my least favorites just because again, another witch. Conjure the Dark was another witch themed, and I liked some of the characters, like some of the witches in there were pretty cool, but I thought we're already doing a witch house. And the Scarecrow one, the thing with that is it was raining that night, so they didn't have the actors out, so I didn't get a really good look at that. I did get to see it on the way out. There were more actors in there, but they really weren't coming out and interacting too much. And then I got to the end of the zone and I realized it was a shift change. So what was really cool with that though, is I noticed that was the first time I ever saw one of these shift changes. When they changed and the characters were coming out from backstage and the other ones were going back towards, they looked at each other towards each other and they bowed. They did like a bow. And I thought that was really cool and kind of creepy and kind of added to what was going on. But because I didn't really get a good look at the scare zone, like to fully immerse in it, I didn't really care for it. My favorite, and most people don't like this one, was Sweet Revenge. I don't think you like Sweet Revenge too much, right? Yeah, I really like that one a lot because it's kind of that creepy kind of retro Halloween. What's that?
I knew they made it. Because somebody would like it. But.
Totally made it for me, man. I love that creepy like 1950s, 1960s Halloween vibe that was going on there.
I usually do too, but I just thought, I don't know. I just didn't. Maybe I'll have to give it another chance, but I always just walk past it and I'm like,
yeah, I liked it. Like the one girl looked at me and she's like, don't eat the candy. And, and it was like a whole story. Like they were tying the story in really, really well at that point in night for us. And the characters themselves were really, I thought, cool, particularly the ones with the masks and the costumes and stuff. So, That I knew that was going to be your least favorite because you had mentioned it to me before, and that was my favorite for that very reason. You know what I described. The horrors of Halloween were great because they kind of come out at you with from the smoke and things, the fog, and I really like that. Plus the pumpkin lord's there, and who the heck doesn't like the
Yeah,
pumpkin?
he's got a dedicated audience all the time, just people waiting for the
Yeah.
pumpkin lord to come back. So.
Yeah. Well, that's what I got, John, for Halloween Horror Nights. I'm so glad I got to go this year, and I'm glad. Unfortunately, we didn't get together for that night like we did last year, just because of the way things
Yeah.
turned out. But we didn't really get to shows. Like you didn't get to see the shows. I only got to see Ghoulish, and Ghoulish is fun, but you know, it's one of those things I could take or leave.
I heard that the Halloween Nightmare Fuel Wildfire is very good. I saw a lot
Yes,
of pictures
I've heard
of
that.
fire acts and things. So it's the problem is it's very good, which makes it more difficult to see.
It is.
And
I couldn't get in.
I'm not the wait an hour to see it kind of guy. So.
Me neither. If someday I'm going to get to see that show back there, and if I do, it's probably going to be if I pay for a RIP tour.
They used to have a lot of they used to have a lot of the shows used to be in the middle of like right near the crepe stand, and so you could see them. I remember watching the show from like the bridge, and you could see fire shooting up and music, and you can see the show. You could walk up and see some of it, continue walking. You could stand in the crowd and wait. And I like that better. I don't like to wait in a line and sit in a bleacher and then wait to get out. And it's too much waiting and downtime involved.
So what they ran it back there at Animal Actors? Is that where they used to run it?
No, like literally, I think it was in Central Park. They put up a temporary stage in Central Park, right to the left of where the crepe stand is now.
Okay.
And it was just a stage there. So that area in general, you know, in front of Mel's Diner. And
yeah,
you could
I know where you're talking.
And I really liked it. That I got to enjoy it from all around the park. So I could enjoy it from a distance, close up. I could be walking by and see parts of it. And
yeah.
I really enjoyed that a lot. So.
Oh, very, very cool. Yeah, I know where you're talking now. I understand what the place you're talking about. All right, John. Well, overall, after going, I'm a fairly new HHN traveler, so to speak, and I really liked last year, and this year didn't disappoint at all. I think I liked last year maybe a little bit better than this year, but it was well worth the trip and well worth the money spent and making sure I get to it. I'm hoping that this is a yearly thing for me now because I'm hooked, man. You convinced me, John, and you hooked me, and man, I can't get off of it. I really loved the event this year. And,
yeah, once you start going, the difference, like we talked about before, Mickey's Not So Scary will probably be the same next year. This will be all new, and even night to night, it depends who's working. It depends on your timing. You might go through a house one night and it's not that great, and then the next night it's terrific. So it's just such a organic event that it changes.
I will say in the future, at some point, I may spring for the RIP tour. I don't know. I might try it sometime.
I'm thinking about that next year because I bought an expensive ticket, and the more I'm using it, the more I'm regretting it. The more, like, my wife and I were both thinking we could have got the RIP tour a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
And saw all the houses at one time. And if it's going to take me 30 minutes just to park, I'm not going to go a lot. So I could go a couple of times and wait in the houses, do the stay and scream thing where you go to the first couple or whatever. And
then go back through with the RIP tour,
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do it like I did it this year. It worked good in the past, but the wait times have been a little bit longer. And, if I have to wait, I don't, it's one of those things. I could have saved money and done it a different way, which would have been smarter. So next year I might do the RIP, and that comes with a meal too.
Yeah, I saw that. It comes with a meal, and then you have a couple breaks in between with drinks and things like that. And there's a couple other perks that comes with, like pins and all kinds of other stuff. So and a tour guide, kind of talking about the houses and things. So I actually watched a video today of the RIP tour, and I thought to myself, dang, that would be worth it, because you get guaranteed into the show in the back of the park. You get all those other perks, plus you get there. Like, I saw a guy buy the RIP tour, go on it. He started at 7:00. He was done by about 11:00. So, and he did everything.
Convince your family to stay home, then you can splurge on the RIP.
That's right. That's right. There you go. All right, John. So, how did your social media go for this week?
It's been going all right. Let me see if I have any. My Disney account, my Disney Instagram account, it's been. Let me see if I have any pictures here. No, I don't even know. I'm still at 102,000 followers in total, and 102,000 is good.
Yeah.
Recently, my best reel was the one where I caught that thunder over. I caught the thunder and lightning over the Tree of Life. Yeah, I was seeing. I'm not real good at using Instagram
on a computer. I'm not either.
It's very awkward, but
yeah.
I was going to say I did the 21st of September and I played the September song, so that did pretty good. Tron updates up to like 65,000. One thing I wanted to point out to people, you know how everybody says do shorter videos because they're not, they have to be or they won't do well. This is a 90-second video of it's 90 seconds of the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. And I did it 90 seconds on purpose because I told people, take a break. I said, happy Friday, take a break and enjoy, a ride on the mine train. It's got 104,000 views.
Yeah.
6,500 likes. That's really good. And because most people will tell you a 90-second video is not going to do good. But I'm the kind of person that goes against the grain to test things, to try it out anyway. I'm not afraid of having a reel that doesn't do well. So, and some of these have been doing good too. This one got like 60-some thousand. This one got 127,000. The one with the lightning going by the Animal Kingdom. But again, it's not. I am still not experiencing any growth on Instagram. I shouldn't say that. Very, very slow growth. They're not putting me on the recommended page ever. I guess I don't know. My recommended page, it always disappoints me, but I don't know why they decided that I shouldn't be on that, which has been since the end of July. I think I have not appeared on the recommended page, and before that I was, and I had a constant good growth. I'd get a couple hundred followers at least every day, and one day I just didn't have that anymore. But anyway, it's still doing good. I reached 1.2 million accounts in the last 30 days, which will forever disappoint me because I was over 6 before. My Universal account, I'm at 99,500.
Oh, man. You're right on the edge, man.
So, yeah.
I told you that thing's going to catch up to your Disney one.
I think it will. It's already coming up. But before I got to 100,000 on this, too, it's the growth slowed again. So 100,000 may be a key number for Instagram to slow it down a little bit. But this is one where it does. It really does. They just treat this account better. They offer it more stuff. They show it more. I think it still comes up on recommended pages. So, but again, it's doing good. You can't really see my reach on here, but it's at 4.6 million views or accounts reached in the last 30 days, and that's pretty good. This one was over 6 too, so one day it got pushed down, but reasonably down. So I see some people out there that have 200,000-300,000 followers that I get better views on my reels than they do, so I can't complain, especially with this account. So I can't really complain too much. I can tell you that subscriptions rolled out now, and I really do want to do subscriptions for my Disney one because I have more that I can do there. I was thinking if I do a subscription, I could offer longer videos. I can offer exclusive videos. I was going to do giveaways just for the subscribers because Instagram considers it spamming if I do it to get new followers. But I think I could just give away to my select group of subscribers, and that shouldn't affect my account. Although with Instagram, if it does, they won't tell me anyway. I'll just stop growing, and my reach will be cut. And they won't tell me what I did. They're like an abusive spouse or something. It's like, what did I do wrong?
I think they're like an abusive drunk spouse because I don't even think they really know. I don't think they know why.
I'm not going to tell you what you did, but if you keep doing it, you're just going to fail. It's like, oh, come on. That's not. At least tell me what happened, But,
yeah.
So, yeah, and nothing's really been hitting on the Universal lately. Like, I feel like everything is getting like 20,000, 30,000, which is really low for that. So it definitely slowed down. The biggest surprise, and I thought everybody hated this thing. Jimmy Fallon has 95,000 views, and I put in the comments, at least it's better than Fast and Furious because I like it, but I know it's
I like it.
People don't. But you wouldn't believe the comments I'm getting. Look, don't ever compare this masterpiece to that space filler.
Yeah, that's right. I would agree with that.
So awesome. This ride is cool. They love it. One of our favorites. I'm like, all of a sudden, people have love for Jimmy Fallon ride. It's like, I had no idea. Like the last couple of times I posted, people are like, crap, It's like, so I don't know. People are, you never know what to expect.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's a fun ride.
I like it, but it's not. It certainly isn't the best ride. I was going to say this one has 650,000 views, so that's pretty good. And this is one where I did the audio of David Spade from the Disney movie where he goes, "Oh, we're about to go over a falls, aren't we?
Yeah.
There's going to be jagged rocks," and right as it hits the splash, this is right here is where it says "booyah" as it goes and splashes. I guess the timing was good, but again, 650,000. I couldn't get that on my Disney. I just can't. Like even the best one is going to be low hundreds, and that's as good as you can expect. On this, I got 650,000 for that one. 563,000 for that one, 552,000 for that one. It's like these numbers do not happen on the Disney account. 127. That's the top that I've gotten in months. Now in July, when I had a big reach, I did have a couple in the millions, but then they decided I don't deserve to be seen, and so I'm no longer recommended. And since most people use Instagram's recommendation to decide what they're going to see rather than follow people, Instagram has full control. So it's like, oh, again, I don't know what I did to them, but not much I can do about it. Yeah. And I was going to say TikTok, I'm up to 65,700 followers, 2.3 million likes. I'm back to getting, 2 or 3 thousand views per video again. For a while there, I shot up where I was getting 60,000, 70,000, 50,000. Like I had this little streak of not anything huge, but solid hits. And I was like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
this is getting good. And then I started getting more followers, and then it got back down to normal again. So every once in a while, TikTok will give you a growth spurt. Like this same video is on TikTok, this one, and I have 325,000
Mm.
on TikTok. So if you want to be a social media person, make sure you ride the high in the sky trolley train ride, because that gets some plays on everything for some
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
a good tip.
say it makes sense, but it is what it is. I don't think it's the greatest looking video ever, but it sure does better than much more difficult ones. So.
Yeah, I have video of that, but it's all really cloudy and kind of dreary in the background. And I think that's kind of how that one is that you're talking about. So I never posted it.
Most people like to see blue skies.
Yeah,
Right?
right. And that's why I never posted mine.
Jeez, cancel. I don't know why all those are there. It's like that's so weird. Like why
Yeah.
they have to do this part. But again, I don't think they know what they're doing with computers either. I feel like it's blocking it, but I guess it's not.
Hmm.
But anyway, yeah. So all my accounts are doing good. I'm coming to the end of a bonus period again. Um, so I'm slowing down and purposely not putting out too many great videos. But on
Hmm.
my Disney one, it really doesn't matter anyway, because no matter how good it is, it's going to fizzle out and just disappear shortly. So,
Yeah.
oh, I can tell you one thing that I've tried too, and this I did because I wanted to test it, and I can't do it on Universal anymore because they gave me an updated setup.
Hmm.
And what that means is, like, when I post on Universal, I can do a picture or a video. It's not giving me all the options. This still has the old one. So what I did, and I think I have to click on Reels to see it. When you share a reel, you can share it and to your feed, meaning your followers,
Hmm.
or you can just share it. And this one here, I did not share to my feed. And I did that on purpose because I want people that don't follow me to see it, because they won't push my followers. So I'm like, maybe I can make them, because what are they going to do? Say, oh, nobody wanted to see your video. It's like, and this one I did yesterday, I think. And let me see. It's a really pretty video. I use
Yeah,
that
it
corn
is.
where he says, "Have you ever seen such a beautiful thing?" or whatever he
Ah,
says. But I really like the corn kid. But
yeah.
anyway, 1,100 views, and that's without help from any of my followers. That's standing on its own.
Hmm.
And I think there's this one, 4,000 views. This one too, I did not share to my feed, and I didn't share this one to my feed. So what I think this is telling me, and I don't know for sure, if I was just starting out, I could have got those three with those videos, just throwing them. I posted them into Reels directly, not to any of my followers.
Hmm.
So I thought that would be a good test, as would anybody watch my stuff if I didn't have followers already? Not a lot compared to what I normally get, but it does something. So just part of my experiment.
Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting.
Everyone
I
says,
never even. What's that?
everyone says they love Canada too. I don't know. Oh, yeah, this is interesting. See, the people in this reel here, they just got engaged apparently.
Huh.
And she contacted me and said, "That's me in the video. Can you send me?" So I sent her the original video of the whole thing. I was like, "You can do whatever you want with it." I'm so oblivious to that. I'm looking at the sky and Main Street. I was like, "Oh yeah, there are people there like hugging." I was like, "Oh, I don't
That's
even
cool.
notice thing." So yeah, I caught an engagement thing, and she said she didn't even notice the sky because she was getting engaged.
That is so cool. That's really awesome.
So
Wow.
that one did pretty good too. 59,000.
Very
But
cool.
again, if Instagram actually liked me, I think this would be a viral one. Um, this would be a viral one. Meaning, if I can get a million just riding Popeye's Bilge Yard Rat ride, I think this thing could get up to a million. You know, like the lightning flashing and stuff,
Hmm.
and this beautiful sky and scene and people Main Street all lit up. It's like that could do pretty good. But when it's restricted to my some of my followers only, 59,000 is the best I can do.
Wow.
It does make me sad because I know, you know, if Instagram wasn't so broken, I feel like I'd do a lot better. On a side note, they hit a 52-week low today, their stock price. So keep up the
Yeah.
good work. Everyone's getting happier and happier with the way you do stuff.
Yeah. And looks like the CEO's in a little bit of trouble coming up. So, you know, some things come around, you know. So,
But anyway, I 59,000, 60,000, 35. That's not bad. Like I said, I compared myself to some of my larger peers that are more popular than me. I'm right there with them or even better than them in views.
mm,
So it's, as much as I feel like it's unfair or I don't get views enough, not everybody gets them, you know. So
yeah.
although if you're the right like 20-year-old girl that they really like a lot, you'll be on every follow page, you'll be recommended and pushed constantly. Like I see the pattern. I have a feeling that there's people deciding this stuff, or the algorithm decided that it really likes young chicks, and that's who it wants to push the
Yeah.
most. And that's something I know everybody's into, you know, body positivity and this and that. And but when it comes to discriminating against uh, middle-aged guys who aren't young, attractive guys, well, that's okay. You know, it's like, how about how about you push the old guy for a little bit? It's like, nah. I mean, I can't deny it. I would rather see a young person too, but I, it's frustrating if you can't sell. You know,
Yeah.
look,
I ran into that. Yeah.
I can't sell that, so I just have to stand on my own. They don't help with that, and they're like, "Oh, look, it's another young
Yeah.
chick with Mickey ears. Look at her. Here, follow her. Look, watch her stuff." And I'm like, "Come on, guys."
I
I
ran
try.
into that when I was Twitch game streaming too. You know, I mean, ran into the same thing, and you just you can't compete with, you know, the desires of teenage boys and 20 somethings, and you know.
Yeah, and just for perspective, I have a 21-year-old daughter who is one of those young people on TikTok or whatever that does really well. She has like 300,000 followers, I think. So again, I'm not above it. I don't dislike anybody or hate it or anything. It's
Yeah.
just letting everybody know it's not easy being a middle-aged guy who's not Justin Bieber.
So you said
I have to try really hard to get my videos liked, and I can't use myself to push them. So
yeah, you're saying you're not doing a cameo anytime soon with anyone. So
yeah, nah, probably not. I do appear in lives once in a while. My wife will turn the camera on us, so, which
yeah,
I don't mind her on it. She's attractive enough, so
yeah, there you go.
you know she might get me more viewers. But middle-aged guys, though, yeah.
Yeah, there's a no.
I need to come up with a shtick that seems to get it, you know. Like,
Yeah, you know.
and I like these guys, but like the guy who comes to mind, it's like paging Mr. Morrow or that Provost guy. He always
Oh
wears the
yeah,
tie. It's like,
yeah,
he's smart. He's not a young guy, but you know it's him, and you're like, look, it's the guy that I follow. It's like, yeah,
yeah,
there he is. You almost need like middle-aged guys like me need something added extra. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I need to buy a wacky hat or something.
Yeah, something like that, or sunglasses or something, you know. Just make
Yeah.
sure the sunglasses have the camera things in them, so you can do
Man,
that.
I'm just an unlikable character.
That's not true. All right, John, let's try and get you more followers. Where can they find you online?
You can find me at c.wdw on Instagram and Facebook, c.wdw on TikTok, c.wdw on YouTube, c.uo on Instagram and Facebook. And I do different things on Facebook for that one than I do on Instagram. So
Cool. All
I
right.
think that's about it.
Yeah, and you can find me at The Giant Rat, THE Giant Rat, on Instagram and on TikTok. And we just released a video on your YouTube, John, of the Fountains of Imagination. It just came out, so hope everyone checks that out. All right, that should do it for this week. We will see you on the next one.